Okay, let's get started.
Just raise your glasses high. This one's sweet.
Turtle time.
Lindsay and Carl are back together again? For an Uber Eats ad. That's right, Lindsay and Carl have forgiven each other forever, and they are co-stars in a new food delivery ad that is making Summer House fans get a much-needed laugh in the midst of this horrible scandal. The only thing missing from this ad is Don Draper looking down on them from heaven, giving everyone a huge thumbs up. Amy, from a marketing perspective, this is pure gold, right?
Good as gold. Savings!
Oh my, it reminds me of that. Didn't Uber Eats get a little piece too during
They're on
Scandival?
top of it. Remember, I mean, they are a ongoing sponsor on Summer House. Pretty much every time they are sitting around in the kitchen, there's those beautiful green Uber Eats bags that I've never seen in real life. So smart. I'm sure this was a Lindsay broached deal. And I was texting. I've been nonstop texting with all of my community the past week, probably too much. I feel like I'm bugging people at this point. I'm like, did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? But do you think, I mean, Lindsay's capable of anything. She'll, she'll take a deal, a cash grab wherever she can get it. Do you think that Carl, though, reached out to Sierra to say, is this in good taste for me to joke about this scandal? Can I please?
Wow, that's a great question. I think yes, even both of them. I know what you mean about Lindsay versus Carl, but I do think yes, that would have been broached. Like, do you mind if I'm in an Uber Eats ad where I'm crying and I'm blowing my nose into a tissue with Lindsay Hubbard in our apartment to play on the Carl's a mess, part of this thing? And I would think that Sierra would say, yes, go ahead.
Right.
I would think that they would both have the respect to do that, to see if they can broach this angle of things. But
Right.
I mean, it kind of was mission accomplished. I laughed. I thought about ordering Uber Eats instead of DoorDash, which I'm usually a huge DoorDash head, but it was like funny and quick.
Yeah.
And really, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing that Lindsay and Carl's relationship was repaired by them doing an Uber Eats ad together, but it did actually lead to unblocking and them being in the same room together and having a little fun. I mean, I don't know how much fun they were having, but it seemed like there was a spark of fun to be doing an Uber Eats comical ad together. So it set them at least on a slightly better path than they were on.
Right. And there are some moments in the episode we'll talk about today that leads to, things that we thought maybe never possible. I was also thinking about how, so obviously they got their cash in. I have to assume it was a pretty tasty check because Uber Eats wanted in on this moment. Obviously the Carl is a mess. We haven't talked about it yet. We talked about Kyle saying Carl is a mess, but since then it's become a whole thing. It's the new send it to Daryl. I think that's the closest example. And, there's something about whether or not you want to root for Kyle. There's something about me that always wants not that it rights the wrong, but something productive to come from this. And I always felt that it would be so sad for Loverboy to just fail into nothingness because it's such a big deal to get a brand to that point. So I always hated the idea of it just fizzling out. So I'm like, if this random thing saves it from the grave, that would be such an amazing story. And I was thinking how, similarly, it's like, is it in good taste to profit off of it? And obviously, I was pondering on how Sierra took the most classy approach and says, please, I know you guys are looking to support me, support this Girl Scout troop that I believe it's for girls who are in like the shelter system in New York City. It was like the most beautiful thing in the world. I was like, what a great thing to shine light on. They're going to make so much money. But part of me was like, I wish that she had an existing business that people could just support anyways without her asking. Like something about her had that back door. Like she didn't have to ask for anything, but people could just buy $250,000 of sweatshirts from something about her. And I'm like, damn, I wish Sierra just had something that she could make bank off of, because I know it was so classy of her, but I'm like, I want her to make money.
Yeah, it's true. And people are sort of thinking of where they can lend their support financially. And so like Loverboy is getting a lot of sort of the Sierra love, but then it, it has something to do with Kyle as well. So people feel good about it. And then they sort of, Loverboy then did, not to say capitalize, but they did create Carl's a Mess, merch pretty quickly as well. So people can sort of spend their money to show their support. Interesting. I mean, it's really, I hope this isn't too much. It was kind of interesting to have a full echo of Scandival again and sort of see what we saw 3 years ago play out almost exactly the same in terms of the extra stuff that happens, like Carl's a Mess. You said it's like Send It to Daryl. Carl's a Mess is so much better than Send It to Daryl. My God. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just so much, it's just, and then like Loverboy getting the support. It just has all of the, like, people are kind of going through I guess the same sort of routine that they had the last time and seeing what what works for good or for ill.
Wait, what did you say? It was even worse than Worm with a Mustache. It was like Sloppy Joe.
Sloppy
Raquel.
Joe. Oh, that was when people were like, I've had enough of Scandival memes. It was like James was trying to sell this horrible shirt that said Sloppy Joe. What was Joe's last name? Sloppy Joe Welch or whatever. And it was a Sloppy Joe with her licking her lips or something. And people were like, oh, Scandival's over.
We've reached the limit.
This fucking sucks. Worm with a Mustache, all that kind of shit. We eventually this I actually to counter what I said, people have been pretty restrained. If Carl's a Mess is one of the best things that's ever happened, for the Bravo community. It kind of, everyone rallied around Carl. It got sympathy to Carl when we were just talking about sympathy for Carl 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I would say that's the best.
The perfect way in, because he has nothing to do with it. No wrongdoing on his part. He's a sympathetic character.
Yeah.
We can just, it doesn't get into any of the darkness of the rest of the conversation. It's just the funny part about, like, what about Carl?
Totally. People are thinking about Carl. It was really sweet. And Carl was giving us updates. Like, he's like, I'm okay. He was like giving a thumbs up. He could like barely smile through it. He looks like he was, kind of, upset a little bit, but he was still like making his way. Like, yeah, it was kind of sweet to just think about Carl for the weekend.
Yeah. And they listened to, I don't know if they were going to do this in the first place or if it was Carl's idea, but they're donating a portion of the proceeds to like a recovery charity. So I'm like, okay, good move, classy. You gotta, you can't just unabashedly cash in on this. I also, one of the updates we've seen from Carl is that he was doing his confessional shoot. I saw Lindsay was doing one too. We were talking about whether or not that was something that they were going to be doing anyways. Like, we're kind of within the timeline that would probably be the case. But I'm really wondering, are they going to get cameras up or talk about it in any fashion, or are they purely saving it for the reunion?
Now it seems like in no fashion. I mean, I was wrong as hell. I was like, absolutely cameras will be up. But I think because the reunion is coming so soon, they really feel like they can just let the 2 weeks sort of live and breathe and then get all of that energy harnessed for the reunion. But I do think, obviously, if Lindsay and Carl are filming confessionals, which I think they would have anyway, I think that they're doing their final confessionals,
Mm-hmm.
But obviously they now have in their brains this new information, so we'll be watching these confessionals, and I don't doubt that they would probably be questioned within the season if they wanted to take advantage of that. I just don't think we're going to get any new footage anymore. I've now put that theory to rest.
Yeah. Lindsay said that April 15th date was incorrect. She implied that it's further away than that, which I was kind of excited that it was going to be so fresh, because the Scandival reunion was really close to the blow up. It was like, possibly, maybe we were saying at the time, too close, because everyone was so pissed that we couldn't even, there was no conversation to be had because it was just so much anger. I don't think this will be the same, but I don't know when it will be, but it'll be soon. It'll be in the next month, I assume.
What, the actual reunion?
Like the taping.
Yeah, so I think what I would go off is that there's probably 16 episodes, this season. We're on episode 10. They usually have a full month they take a full month with the reunion footage and have it ready to go. So I would say it would have to be in the next 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how long the season is. So it's coming up. It's coming up very quickly. I don't imagine that they're going to have the same sort of spirit, I'll say, as this the Scandival reunions. I kind of hope not. Just looking back, that's when we got Poop Boo Head and Silver Poop Village and Poop with a mustache and all that kind of stuff. I really hope. I kind of know that Summer House is going to treat this a little more respectfully than they did. I gotta say one thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I've been thinking about it a lot because obviously Ariana's dress became so famous, her revenge dress, and I've been thinking. I mean, Sierra's gonna look amazing no matter what. It's impossible for her not to look amazing. But I'm like thinking about, Amanda's not allowed to slay. I'm like, she has to wear like a turtleneck. She has to come in just looking very plain. And West also, no swag allowed. He has to wear like a Leonardo DiCaprio suit, like boring. I'm like, so you're not allowed to have any little frills. I don't want to see it.
Okay. Too boring. Okay. All right. Too boring outfits. Well, this is good thing we're talking about this before the reunion films. This is where people could actually get advice. Too boring outfits. West, wear something really boring. I don't want to see one frill. And then what did you say, Amanda? Turtleneck?
Yeah, black. Just like nothing to write home about. I don't want all eyes on you. No midriff. None of that.
Okay. All right. And if they paid attention to that, is it sort of like if you see them and they look bland as hell, will you be like, oh, okay, well, they thought about this in a way. You know what I mean? Is that
it's like when you go to court, you're supposed to dress understated. I know on Kardashians, when Kim went to testify against her robbers, there was a huge conversation about whether or not she wanted to be dripping in diamonds because she was like, fuck you, like you tried to kill me and take all my diamonds and I still have diamonds. And they're all like, actually, the prosecutor doesn't want you to do that. That's not really like the narrative we want. So they have to think about the way they're coming off, and they think they should dress like their little church children, like they're sorry.
That's great. All right, church children. All right, I agree. I haven't even thought about it yet, but that makes sense to me. To show sort of the state of mind is to dress like your little kids going to church. When I went to court, I dressed so badly. I needed to borrow pants from the judge. So I know what it's like to sort of do a horrible job wearing stuff. One thing I wanted to say is that people have not found the proper or a good name for this scandal. It's really, really bad. I hope people aren't pissed at me for saying this, but Scamanda is absolutely
Amandaval. Westgate?
Amandaval is Westgate is the best one I've heard. Has somebody said Westgate? Yeah. I like Westgate. Westgate is, I mean, you still want Amanda in there. I mean, I guess that people are like, Amanda deserves all of the name like Sandoval had, but in no way is Amandaval. No offense to anybody who's using that, but it relies too much on Sandoval's name. And then Scamanda sounds like scam. And also, don't people want West to sort of be a part of it? So I couldn't really think of it, but it's just kind of, a name would have been found. I mean, people are racking their brains. And I just think that there is absolutely nothing you can do with Wilson, Batula, West, Amanda, Scandal.
Yeah.
I was like, Watula Gate, because West and Batula, but that's horrible. No one wants to say Watula. And then the Wilson Batula Betrayal, but it's too long. So I think that this isn't controversial to say that no one has really rallied on a unanimous, name for this. Scandal House.
Yes, it's Scandal House.
But it's just not, I don't know. I mean, it just made me have more respect in a way for Scandival. That really was like, it's like the way that you and I refer to it. It's like Watergate. Like it just, after that, no one else took a chance on anything else.
I almost call Sandoval Scandival like every time we recap. I'm like, Sandoval.
Me too. I go, what's his last name? Scandival? Remember when Scandival said, he goes, motherfucking Scandival, when he broke that, do you remember when he took that sledgehammer and he was, it was like, break the things that you hate in that Wolves by Lisa restaurant.
God.
And he goes, motherfucking Scandival. And people were like, God, that was so weird. You're not allowed to say Scandival. They thought it was, I remember it was really odd and awkward, but, let's all, I don't know if we'll ever get a name. Seriously, if it's been a week and no one came up with anything, I don't think. But I don't know about Scamanda. It's like it doesn't have West in it.
I wonder which one, if Andy will choose one, or if maybe he'll list them all.
But you can kind of tell that everybody's like thinking of, it's a little tentative. It's just, no offense. I'm not saying whoever invented Scamanda. I mean, great job. But anyway, do you? Let's stick in the summer house spirit, because right before we recorded, we were given a gift of all gifts by getting the In the City trailer, which is, it's still called that, by the way.
Yeah.
In the City.
It was, okay, I'm just going to say this very quickly. It was much more, it feels like it's almost the promise of what the Valley was supposed to be, but in New York City, and it looks way better than the Valley. At least the Valley of this week.
I wrote that too. We just watched this 7 minutes ago, or 8 minutes, 16 minutes ago, because we're recording. But we just watched it, and I was like, this is like the Valley. This is the premise of the Valley. For some reason, when it was just showing Lindsay biting that apple and throwing it to Amanda in that teaser, I was like, it's going to be them, and then maybe some other people, but it's mostly going to be focused on like an extension of Summer House. But no, this is like a new friend group, like exactly like the Valley. Brittany and Jax had this extended friend group that they wanted to show on camera, and now this is what the Valley is, and it has Danielle in it.
Oh my God. Queens of Bravo is going to be screaming around their house. I didn't see that coming at all. People are going to freak out. People are going to go insane.
I know. It's kind of interesting that they decided to keep that below the fold or whatever.
Yeah.
Like she's been on... She was on Summer House for like 8 seasons, and they're not even promoting this is going to be on it, but she's obviously their friend. Yeah. You have Andrea, and then a bunch of people I'm not really familiar with.
Yeah.
But 80% of the trailer is dedicated to these new cast members that we're going to get to meet for the first time, I would say.
No, it looks good. There's a clip, it's pretty long. It's like 2 minutes 30 or even longer. And there's a moment when Lindsay Hubbard is activated towards a man. And I was like, maybe it'll be fun to see her get activated about people that I don't have any, I'm not in the game for, like no one that I care if she's mean to them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Someone was like, you and Turner, they were like, you had a baby 2 months into a relationship, and you could see that she got activated as hell. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe someone would like bring that up to Lindsay. There was a lot of, Danielle dealing with some stuff. There was some, I guess, infidelity, I believe, in there.
Potentially dating a married man. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Potentially dating a married man. And then they did add a lot of Kyle and Amanda, which is kind of, I started to think that was like all that this show was going to deal with, which didn't really make much sense. That it would just be a Kyle and Amanda spinoff with Lindsay popping in. But they give us enough to be like, here's the marriage of Kyle and Amanda, and then they're really going through it. We don't get any scenes of them talking. Well, we get a scene of them actually talking about how the divorce would go with the prenup. There's a little bit of a tense conversation where I think Amanda says, if you come for me, I will come for you. And then he says that would be a losing battle, which kind of wild. And then Amanda says, are you threatening me? And she also says, who was in our home while I was sleeping the other night? And she indicates that Kyle, she goes, God knows how many times Kyle has cheated on me over the years. So they're definitely kind of opening up, talking about some of the horrible shit that's gone on.
Yeah, they give Kyle shit. He goes, I got a little more going on. Get off my ass.
Oh, he goes, get off my ass. He goes, lay off me, dude. And I was like, oh my God, holy shit, a little bit more going on. Round 2. And then they also have a very provocative clip of the producer going, so Amanda, what is going on with you and Kyle? And she goes, are you ready for this? And then they cut her off. So I mean,
it looked good.
Yeah, it's and also it's in the Big Apple completely.
Yeah.
One time, Kyle gives them their tagline. He goes, "Summer should be fun, but also the fall." Or no, it was so much better than that. It was "Summer should be fun." That's his catchphrase. But I could still have fun in the fall. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. They're going to be using that a lot.
Yeah.
So that was great.
Did you see? I only watched it the once. I mean, we both just watched it.
Mhm.
Did you see a single child? I obviously Lindsay has a child, but do we know? I wonder if any of the other couples have kids or like,
Oh.
because it felt, I don't know. I guess New York just has a more fun vibe than the Valley, so to speak, which has just become about like rearing children.
Right.
Whereas in the city, they're like on a rooftop, you know?
Yeah. I didn't see one little pop of a kid's head in this one. Maybe Lindsay's doesn't want to, show even on cameras. You know how like Janet and Jason have like emoji baby on the internet, but then they show their baby on
Right.
the film.
Right.
I thought maybe that would be Lindsay. Like she'd be like, oh, well, this is like more noble to show it off here instead of social media. But maybe it's the same rule,
Right.
like,
The
hey, I'm not
Kufi
showing my
rule.
kid. The Kufi rule, they call it. So you and I still processing. We just watched it. Those are the initial thoughts. We'll maybe even talk about it, a little bit more next time we record too, if more stuff comes out. But I thought it was wonderful to get this right before we started to
No, it
to
honestly
record.
gave me more life than I expected at all. I also want to say it's interesting that Lindsay wants to get in on the Scamandival so badly, considering she has this coming up. Like, you have a moment in the sun just around the corner. I don't know why you want to get in on this so bad, but I'll allow the Uber Eats. I'm like, that was at least a money-making endeavor. But she's commenting on like every single post I see. She's like, West he posted a Instagram story like flashing the peace sign because he's at like a tournament, like a basketball tournament, I think. Which I was like, dog, you need to lay low much longer. But all the accounts were posting about it. And he was with that guy who does the whiteboard videos, like Soho Brody or whatever his name is. And Lindsay commented like, do a whiteboard about Scamanda and I'll lead the charge. Like, I'll be in the video. I was like, she's not even kidding. She will totally do that video. And then she was in the Dumois comments because someone saw her at Easter brunch talking about the reunion. And she did like 5 stories in a row talking about how she was like, I would never have time to talk about the reunion at brunch when I have a baby to chase around. I'm like, okay. And then her clarification over like 5 videos that I did watch was the Dumois leak was that she said she can't wait for the reunion. And her big clarification that she couldn't live without giving was that she said she couldn't wait for the reunion to be over. I was like, thank God you cleared that up. I was laying awake at night.
Wait. I kind of missed. I saw her say, I want to do a whiteboard with you, Soho Brody. I saw that. I don't know anything. No, I don't know anything about that whiteboard stuff. I do agree with you completely that it's interesting that Lindsay wants the biggest piece of this pie.
Yeah.
But what was the clarification? She went to brunch. She was with her people.
Yeah.
Dumois is like, people are like listening to Lindsay talk as they're in a booth next to her. Which I'm still kind of wrapping my brain around the ethics of all this shit, but whatever. And she goes, no. I didn't talk like that. I didn't clarify the date of the reunion. I wasn't even yelling. I could barely focus on eating my brunch. And also I said, I can't wait for the reunion to be over. Not that I'm going to be very activated and during the reunion?
Yeah, at first she fully denied talking about the reunion at all. She was like, I was chasing my baby around. God forbid I have time to have a conversation. And I was like, I feel bad for your brunch mates if you never sat down to talk with them at all. And then she clarified in her very long video that she was with like a best friend of hers who their dad was also present, who is older and has no idea what Summer House is. So she said that they were explaining the whole thing to him and that she said that she was excited for the reunion to be over with. And I was like, so you did talk about the scandal and you did talk about the reunion. It's what they said wasn't that far off, like that you had to... She was like, I'm triggered by liars and I need to clear this up immediately. And I was like, that's what you had to clarify?
Yeah, yeah. I don't. I think that I'm trying to be so delicate. I think that we've seen in times of scandal how people sort of go about it, and Lindsay is a person that sort of likes to go head first into it, even if she's not necessarily a firsthand participant in it. It's just she kind of loves it. She loves that she might create a meme about it. She was the one who made, which this is, people love Lindsay and people dislike Lindsay for this. Like when the hot wings thing was on and they were just going like, I'm eating a wing. Like, oh, it's not that hot. Like, this isn't that good of a wing or whatever. Lindsay's like, Dara's the most publicity minded, and like, you know, she just uses the opportunities to create huge moments, and I think
Right.
that she's having the time of her life. I don't want this comparison to sound bad, but we've already talked about it. Like, remember how Lala and James were the
Yeah.
most fired up at Scandival? No one could get a word in edgewise. Andy was
Right.
like, I love it. He goes, I love the poo-poo head stuff, James, but can you guys please be quiet? We're trying to listen to Raquel talk. Like,
Right.
James was even more actively sort of a part of Scandival. Lala wasn't.
Right.
And then Lala, if I remember correctly, was one of the first dominoes to fall when it came to filming with Sandoval again. So I'm just saying, in this time, kind of shows everyone's spirit, and Lindsay is showing her spirit right now.
Yes. I literally always forget. It's interesting because a lot of people are like, fuck Kyle's feelings. We only care about Sierra's feelings. She's the one that was truly fucked.
Mhm.
But I always forget that James was also scorned.
Yeah.
Not as bad because it was like his ex, but it was still something to be considered that I feel like was just the least important. You know, because he was like, I thought of you as a big brother, mate. And I just got, the algorithm has been popping off and showing me old posts from anywhere in the last 6 months. And it served me a Kyle reel celebrating West on his birthday. And it said, like, my little brother from another mother, like, love you, dog. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, they were close.
Oh my God. Oh, contrary to what I said, well, shut my mouth. I like was speaking out of my damn ass about, I don't know shit about any of these people, but yeah,
then,
I mean, a birthday post is a big deal. It comes into play.
Yeah, and then
coming
Megan actually sent me a TikTok from a few months ago that Sierra posted that was like a bed bugs montage to that like Fleetwood Mac song where it was like, you're going to be asked to get in bed with some girls. You're going to want to get in that bed. And it was just a montage of them like hugging and like crying and like supporting each other. And I was like, oh,
Oh boy.
it's all so sad.
Yeah, it is really sad. I'm ready, very ready to sort of get all of the facts, you know, sorted. And I mean, it's going to be a long time. I feel like most of the major aspects of this scandal have like come out. I mean, we've gone now a couple days without any big new developments. So I feel like the entire cast has sort of, besides Lindsay, I don't know, Lindsay is doing her own kind of thing, but everyone has sort of decided that they're saving all of their fodder or thoughts for the reunion. And I'm really excited just because there are some major questions about how this whole thing or developed.
Right. I have stumbled upon West's supposed girlfriend, Midwest girlfriend, Miha, the one that made the horsehair tie that he wore on Watch What Happens Live. I've stumbled upon her Instagram and TikTok, and she is persistently making videos about how she was thrust into a public humiliation ritual. So she's pissed and she feels betrayed. So that's a piece of the pie that I think is interesting. Sierra liked her last post, so I do think they communicated. So West has a lot to answer for, but, you know, we'll get to that when we get all the facts. And I just wanted to say, I think I said this, I don't know if I said this since BravoCon, but if I can lend any one more little factoid, I don't remember if I already said this last week, but when we were at BravoCon and you went to the Bravos, you were separated from me because I didn't get a ticket. And so I was went down a hallway at the Four Seasons where all of the stars were staying. And I turned a corner. This is when I met the McBees. And all of a sudden, like salmon in the spring coming down the hallway, there were like 400 Bravo celebrities just like rushing towards me. And I was like, whoa. And that's when I said hi to West. And he was with Amanda alone. And that was November. But I didn't think it was weird because I was like, yeah, like all the Bravo celebrities are here. But I was like, it was just the two of them as far as cast hanging out.
After all the salmon swam down the stream of that Four Seasons hallway, left as two little tadpoles was West and Amanda as the only two people in the hallway when you were.
Well, they were like, I just mean they were they were together. Like they were traveling together.
All right.
And that's when he said hi to me, which was nice. And he said, "Where's Big Dog about you?"
Yeah, I forgot. I should have said Wes calls me Big Dog.
And then I kept it moving, and I met all three McBees. So best night.
What? I was at the Bravos. I was having the time of my life. What a wonderful time that was. We didn't say that they give a big hug to in the city or in the city. They have a hug where Wes goes, "Give it here, Amanda." And
yes,
right. You saw this clip.
Yes,
I think
yes,
I'm like, I'm not making stuff up, am I?
They definitely added that in.
They added a huge
2
hug
days ago,
and you should see this hug. We're gonna be looking at this for a long time. He goes, "Oh," and he's holding her, and it's one of the biggest hugs I've ever seen. So we're gonna be looking at that with a magnifying glass. But I feel like you and I, because we just talked about Summer House so much, you can tell we're championed. I feel like a horse that has a carrot in its carrot in front of it and its lips just started grazing it. I got to talk about this Summer House episode. What the hell was this thing called?
Tea Time.
Tea Time, because they went to the same athletic sports field that they went to in 2019 when Carl wanted to possibly, I think he was really mad at Luke for some reason. So they finally went back here and they had a lot of fun. They had a lot of fun doing mini golf and driving range and stuff. This was another slam dunk. Speaking of sports fields, huge slam dunk of an episode for me.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I do feel like this felt like a little bit of a reprieve from, there's nothing completely salacious about this episode. Like the Kyle and Amanda stuff is a little bit off the table here. There's no clues regarding Amanda and Wes. They hardly interact in this episode.
I saw kind of one wink.
Next week, next week there will be more fodder. There's like bad behavior scandalous behavior on Wes' part next week. So this feels like a little bit of like a chill, like down to dynamics. There's some Ben stuff. There's Sierra gets a great centerpiece, which I feel like this season or even last, we have very rarely gotten like a travel or like a family history moment. So this felt kind of nice to travel outside of New York and get some more background. So we'll get into that, but I feel like we haven't gotten something like that in a while.
Yeah, totally. No, that was a wonderful scene. I liked this episode in particular. I sort of it kind of made me think about the sort of empathy for the cast members and how we're going to be assessing them as, based on the latest developments and everything. And in particular, this one had the Kyle and Carl sort of conflict. And I'm really do you know that that like trolley problem where it's like that ethical view of thinking about stuff? Like it was actually making me like think about that, where I was like having to hold empathy for Carl, which we talked about a lot, especially in the last 3 or 4 weeks. But then also people are getting a new lens on Kyle in a way. So it was kind of really, and all the cast members of Summer House do this. It's just now we're forced to choose between people that we really, really like. And I could see a total world when we get to the Carl and Kyle conflict of people who feel both ways, extremely sympathetic for Carl, but maybe people think Kyle has got a little more going on. I'm just like, I feel like this might be one of the most like nuanced reality TV shows because we're just so not, well, except now, clearly there is going to be a divide. But for a long time, we were watching mostly friends who we all cared about fight, like when it was Kyle versus Paige and all this stuff. So interesting to watch it in the new light and see how you and I are going to be analyzing things, knowing what we know now. And the Ben and Amanda thing was a little interesting to me, which I know we'll get to. So it starts out, Lindsay's housewarming party. I mean, in the city is here. These are the kind of fun parties that Lindsay is having. I gotta give a little chastisement to Summer House producers. They had the last week's episode end with Bailey going, "You weren't in Ben's room?" And Dara goes, "No, I was not." And then I was like, whoa, she lied about being in Ben's room. And then when they show the clip of the start of this episode, Dara doesn't say no once.
Right.
She explains exactly what was going on, that she had a wardrobe change in the room and Ben stumbled in, and she doesn't try to get out of it at all. It's like a very nice conversation, and they get to the end of it within like 5 seconds.
Yeah, it kind of switches gears. Like, she's like, she says they put my suitcase in there, and I was like, you put your suitcase in there. But anyways, and they did flirt, which she admits. She goes, I was testing the waters. Bailey's like, yeah, I thought you guys were vibing. I didn't say you hooked up or anything, but I thought there was, a little vibe there. And she's like, yeah, we were. And Bailey's like, okay, good, because when I said that to Ben, he made me feel insane to even mention that you guys had any chemistry. And Dara was like, how dare he? I'm offended that he would pretend that we didn't have chemistry. So now she's pissed at him, I guess.
Yeah. I was a little confused. I was like, you got out of the thing that, you were accused of, and it worked out well. But then you heard that Ben wasn't into it. And then you're now going to maybe talk to Ben about how there was chemistry, even though you're dating KJ and you really like him now. So it was a very quick reorientation. And then Ben comes in with Sabrina. This is one of my favorite moments coming up, by the way. Sabrina comes in with Ben. She knows a lot about the cast members, I'll just say. She's heard a lot. Ben's been talking to her a lot. She feels like she's known everyone. She goes and reaches over to Jesse and she goes, "You are one of the coolest people that Ben has ever talked about." Jesse's like, "Oh, okay, cool. Thanks." And he goes, "So you guys met when?" Which was such a funny way for Jesse to put it. And then it's an incredibly awkward scene, in my opinion, of Ben trying to pretend like him and Sabrina haven't been dating this entire time. He goes, "We met in March," which this is like August.
Yeah.
And then he goes, "And then when we rekindled things, she was right there and we reconnected immediately." And then you could tell Ben is kind of like blushing and uncomfortable as he talks about this, because he knows, I think, that somebody is suspecting that this timeline doesn't make any sense. And then I was like, I couldn't believe it. Jesse just right in his confessional just calls Ben and Sabrina out for this thing. He goes, "She's very sweet and I like her energy, but I'm still hung up on how quickly they're jumping into things. I thought that they had been hooking up this whole time and that Ben said he wasn't seeing anybody when he had a secret girlfriend potentially." It's like, for him to just voice this conspiracy theory like that in the confessional was pretty amazing to me.
He was like, that's a good theory. And I think that has been the internet's theory. And she comes up again and again, and we'll be seeing more of her. So we can judge accordingly. She kind of pops off at the end of this party.
Yeah.
So we get to meet Mia's boyfriend, Scott. We get more about how he's never around. I already said this, but 2 other women in the summer house have dated chefs. It never works. They work like a dog. They never come home, out all night. It's akin to a DJ, frankly.
I didn't even, oh my God. Scott is so sort of out going to traveling and stuff that later we find out that he had to sign a contract to Mia to not be away for 10 days. So yeah, I mean, it's hard traveling all the time, but Mia was so happy that Scott actually made it. She's like, he doesn't come to things a lot, so this is a huge deal for him to be seen at this party. Lindsay comes over to Bailey and she goes, "What the hell are you guys all talking about over here?" And Bailey's like, "Well, we were talking to Carl about something," and Lindsay gives she goes, Carl. She goes, oh, and she gives a huge 2 thumbs down and a big tongue out. One of the most exaggerated, disgusted 2 thumbs downs I've ever seen in my life. I was thinking even Siskel or Ebert, if they were reviewing one of their least favorite movies, wouldn't have done tongue out, poking out like that with that much of disdain for Carl. And I was like, kind of, which is it? Like, you want Bailey to, like, you know what I mean? It's kind of what you were alluding to earlier this season about what kind of relationship does Lindsay want with Carl at this point.
I do think she was alluding to that thing where Bailey was saying that Lindsay gave her thumbs down about dating Carl, but then we get another round of a clip of them at lunch where she goes, if any of you girls do want to date Carl, feel free. And they're like, that's your ex-fiance. That's crazy. And she goes, I don't care. And then in this conversation, she's like, you should send him nudes.
Yeah. So really, she doesn't care. I mean, they kind of bring up code, Bailey and Levi. They say, like, we would never do that. I couldn't date your ex-fiance. But Lindsay is saying she doesn't, give a shit at all. She just wants the overall assessment for Carl to be that she gives him a huge, huge thumbs down, I guess, is what she's doing. But she still wants Bailey to. Also, Bailey says, I think a couple times in this episode, she does say that, like, Carl has not reached out. And Carl later says that he's a little tentative because dating somebody in the house could be possibly, a nightmare.
Right. We get a little blip with Kyle, who says that he's in good spirits because him and Amanda finally agreed to go to therapy, which later Amanda mentions. She goes, I feel like couples therapy is our last option. If we can't pay someone to fix our problems, then what the fuck are we doing? And I was like, already a flop attitude. The therapist doesn't fix your relationship. You guys do with their help. It's not like you go and they just are like, this is what you do, and then it's over. It's like, no, like, you have to go and talk about the ways in which you lend to your relationship being toxic. It's not just like, I don't know. I felt like she has a bad outlook regarding therapy.
Yeah, my suspicion is that they're just so far gone at this point that couples therapy is kind of like, they don't think that this is going to be, the saving grace for their relationship. So she's kind of, and even you have to imagine that this is 2 or 3 weeks after when she's filming this confessional, and maybe she has no hope about it at all. We have Carl does get a montage when he says he doesn't want to date people of the house, and we get I guess they're low lights of Carl's life, which, if you read his book, I mean, I've said it a lot, kind of gives you a little new way to think about all the stuff that was going on. But it was like him with the Workus twins, and that one Workus twin goes, if you love Lauren so much, eat a watermelon.
She pulls a Gallagher.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. She has a full-blown Gallagher, even with the big raincoat and sledgehammer. I was like, I remember watching Summer House when it just started, and I was like, that sucked. Like, the cake was one thing, because one of the other, Summer House needs, no offense. Oh God, I hope I just stumbled into something. The Workus twins need to be, no offense, but no moment, I think, from Summer House, from huge diehard fans of Summer House, really has many Workus related moments in it. They really add a lot of, Workus moments to the legacy. I mean, even Cake Eater, you could imagine, in a way, it was a double entendre. It's supposed to reference the time he got a cake, I think, thrown in his face too. But anyway, going back to those moments, I'm like, wow, that's wild. And Carl did have the moment with Paige Pantry, obviously, and then Lindsay, a couple seasons of trying to make things work with Lindsay.
It is wild seeing when they tried to date the first time, when he goes, more life, and it didn't work out, knowing from reading his book what a dark hole he was in and how he was just a raging addict and just doing blow all day, every day, and drinking so much. I'm like, she wanted to date him then. I can't even imagine wanting to get into a relationship with someone where she obviously, I assume, knew his state.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of off-season scenes that we, We're really talking about Cake Eater. I mean, people need to pick it up. If you have any affinity for Carl's a Mess, if you were a Carl's a Mess participant, like, you should really read this book that gives you all of sort of the missing pieces.
If you're gonna wear a Carl's a Mess shirt, I'm gonna be like, do you read the book? Like, name 3 songs. I don't know.
Yeah, we're like that type of person now. Holier than thou, or whatever that's called. No, but I think that I think that he kind of lets us into the behind the scenes, and I think that everyone had more of a look at Carl's addiction, than we could ever imagine. But I'm not sure he was pretty. He handled the whole Lindsay saga, I would say, pretty well.
Yeah.
He was very respectful to her over the years, as you could imagine him talking about her now.
Yeah. There were some, I need to go on Reddit or something, because I didn't have the brain power when I listened to his book. There were certain times when he wouldn't name someone. He would go, my cast member, and he'd be like, a certain cast member was my drinking buddy. We would stop on the drive out and on the way back to get drunk. And I was like, who is he talking about?
Yeah. You gotta just fill in the blanks yourself. I appreciate that. It's not a scandalous memoir. It's all through Carl's point of view, and he doesn't really try to make anyone else look bad in his life, because he has such a harsh opinion of the things that he did badly. I mean, he accounts for, like, the Workus twin stuff. He accounts for the Jules thing. I think he says the Jules thing is, like, one of his worst moments ever filmed in his life. So, makes sense why Carl is a little tentative in terms of possibly dating Bailey. I give him some credit there. Sabrina goes up to Sierra for a moment, and they kind of don't have the footage of it, but Sabrina is really enamored with Sierra. She's like, you are a star. She's like, you're aesthetically beautiful, but internally you're a star. I'm sensitive to energies. When I meet someone I'm obsessed with, they're my person immediately. And then Sierra, like, invites her she's like, do you want to come to the house and be with us? So
I know. I was kind of surprised that Sierra was so down. I would have been like, can you, like, take one step back? I need a moment. Why are you so obsessed with me? I don't know you.
Well, then I think we get that moment from Amanda, like, we get both sides of this in a way. Sierra is likes it. She's like, you can stay in my room if you want. She's like, oh, wait, well, you'd probably have to stay with Ben. But overall, we don't know how in on everything Sabrina is, because they don't really know her. Like, we don't know her as the audience. He mentioned her once. Yeah. And then
I have to assume that more is going to come with her, because my gathering was that the crew didn't have eyes on her because they were like, who gives a shit about Ben's girlfriend? Like, they filmed, like, her introduction, but then from then on, every time when she talks to Sierra and when she talks to Amanda, they have no footage. They have to shoot, like, over Kyle's shoulder, and we just have the audio. So it's like, why did they keep missing these conversations?
There's just so much going on in such tight quarters that it's hard to focus on everyone. You want to focus on Carl, like, looking at stuff. You want to focus on Amanda and Kyle. I just felt like it was a coverage issue. Yeah. They're just not used to shooting close quarters parties like that. But you're right. They missed this joke, this irreverent joke that Amanda made. They have no footage of it. They have no audio of it. So they were missing a lot of stuff, I think, because overall, this was a little more chaotic than what they're used to. We got to talk about Lindsay's speech. I was thinking of you the entire time. I thought it really sort of encapsulates everything to appreciate about Lindsay Hubbard. She does a wonderful ting, ting, ting first, and then she lets it go on a little long, like, to let everybody kind of get the tune of it, which I thought was interesting. And then she starts out the speech by talking about what a big, gigantic palace she has, which I thought was kind of a wonderful way to start a speech.
Well, she actually started the speech by saying she hates giving speeches, and then they rolled a montage of her giving endless speeches over the years. But then, of course, she has to go, and I used to live in the place that I lived with my ex-fiance. I feel like you can now do a drinking game where every time she says ex-fiance, she says it again after this. She says it in the in the city trailer, ex-fiance. I'm like, why is that, like, such a buzzword? Like, you could just say Carl. You could just say
yeah.
X.
I wasn't sure how many acknowledgments Carl needed in this
It's
housewarming speech. He
ridiculous.
got 2 that we saw. She was like, "Welcome to my palace. If you went to my last apartment, I was with my ex-fiance over there, who is here right now." And then everybody is thinking about Carl. It's a little awkward. And then Scott, who doesn't know anybody, he's like, "Who's her ex-fiance that's standing here?" And Ben goes, "Carl, right over here." And he goes, "Oh my God. The guy she's referencing is right next to me." And then she goes, "I've made a lot of new friends and I've got some old friends here, one of which is Carl, my ex-fiance." It's like, yeah, we already acknowledged him
Yeah.
once. So I just thought it was a kind of a good, sort of, there was some palace talk and there was 2 acknowledgments to her ex, a little bit of some awkward moments there. And then the speech kind of ends. And I think Carl leaves pretty quickly after that.
Yeah, he's like, "I did my diligence. I'm freaking out of here." Okay, so here we get Sabrina talking to Amanda. And again, it's like Kyle is in the foreground. I don't even know what they were actually filming. It was kind of weird. Like, I don't know what they had to like zoom in on, but basically we have to go off of audio of Sabrina telling Amanda, she's like, "I'm going to be a little forward. I've heard you've been having a lot of marriage problems. It's not going great." And she's like, "I just think you deserve true love. And if this isn't it, you need to go and find it." And she's like, "Oh, like, I appreciate that." And I'm like, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, "Who are you?" Which she says in her confessional. She's like, "That was really weird. Why does she know so much about me?" But I'm like, she's like, "I just want you to be happy." And I'd be like, "I'm sorry. I literally don't know you. Like, I have never met you before."
Yeah, like, can you save it for the second or third time we meet? I'm conflicted onto whether or not Sabrina is a full-blown fan,
Mm-hmm.
or
That was
if
the
she's
energy.
okay. Yeah, I think a lot of people will agree with that assessment. Or that Ben has been talking to her every single day and been in love with her for 6 months, and she knows everything about the house member. She may not necessarily know this show and the cast, but she is just a person who's heard so much about them from Ben, talking to her every single night, that she wanted to just let them all know, like, "Just so you know, I know everything, so you can treat me like I've been here the entire time." So I think people's opinion of Sabrina will depend on that element as well. But also,
Right. Yeah. Because I'm like, even if Ben tells her every single thing, that's not even that weird. Like, most couples kind of tell every detail about their friends, what they learned at happy hour or whatever. But then you keep it to yourself and pretend that you don't know. Like,
Yeah.
like, just because she knows
Yeah.
doesn't mean that she should feel comfortable enough to bring up Amanda's marriage. Like, that was crazy to me. So, but it's kind of interesting. I was like, that's kind of nuts. So that's interesting.
Right. Totally. Absolutely. And then we now have the scene that we were talking about Sierra going to the house that she bought, her
Yes.
grandparents' home. She has an interior decorator coming to meet her, and she says that she wants to renovate this place once, but majorly, to like
Yes.
upgrade it and do all of these renovations. And she talks about, how the intentions of wanting to, own this house, because she had so many wonderful memories in this house, that she wants to have a home where her family can go to, where her parents can have Thanksgivings and stuff. So Thanksgivings and other holidays there. So it's a very, beautiful goal here, I felt, for sure. And you could just tell in her confessionals, like, how she talks about this, just how much it means to her, doing all of this.
Yeah. I love that because she was very teary and emotional in both. There's this scene, and then later she talks to her mom and she talks more about this specific situation. And she's like crying in every single confession when she touches on it. I think it's a really like sensitive, heartfelt topic for her. So I appreciate that she decided to share it. And, she gets into like how her grandfather owned 3 or 4 houses on the block and gifted each of his kids with a house, and, that he was trying to build generational wealth. And now she wants to continue with his vision of doing that. And I was like, that's so cool. I think I like how she goes out of her way to sort of like feature her family and her experience in a way that like I can tell that it's important for her to let us in on that aspect of her life. And there's more with her mom later. And it's kind of interesting and juicy about like the purchase of the house, which we'll get into in that scene, but it's kind of like dramatic. I've never heard anything quite like it. So we'll talk about it then.
Yeah, that's exactly what I felt as well. Yeah, and next we have Amanda in the city,
Yes.
right? Having lunch
Yes. With
with
Mia and Lindsay at some kind of cheesy looking French place. They get steak tartare and cocktails.
What did you think about this lunch?
I actually thought it was pretty fruitful. It was almost like Amanda didn't really need to be there. Like it could have just been Mia and Lindsay because they had a lot in common to talk about regarding like family stuff and kids wanting kids or having kids. So Amanda was kind of the dead weight here, I will say. But she does, at least at the beginning, talk about that she forgot Kyle's birthday. This is where she makes the comments about therapy. And then Mia brings up that she's been struggling with her boyfriend's traveling and that she drew up a contract that states he can't be gone for more than 10 days at a time. And Lindsay's like, wow, a contract? And Amanda goes, you've never written a contract for your significant other? And they cut to a clip that I totally forgot about where she's sobbing before her wedding with, I think it's Paige and Sierra in bed. And I was like, oh my God, they've been hearing about this for so fucking long. That if Kyle can't control his drinking and they have to call off the wedding, that Kyle will pay back her parents for every cent. And I was like, I totally forgot about that. I forget which podcast I was listening to. And they were talking about how it's very relevant to our Vanderpump Rules recap where Stassi and Katie turn on Kristen for being sick of hearing about Carter. I'm like, they have every reason to be like, I can't hear about your marriage one more time.
Yeah.
Like, I literally can't.
Yeah, I was just thinking of them in comparison to Stassi and Katie because they wrote Kristen off because they were so tired of hearing about Carter at a certain point, whereas Sierra and Paige have listened to this for 5 or 6 years at this point. Right. So Mia is talking about how she needs to make sure that Scott will be able to be there and participate if they were to have a family together. And she's talking about how she wants kids. And then Mia says the saddest thing in the world that you could ever imagine in your life, which I did not know, that her father passed away unexpectedly, and then so did her mother like a year and a half ago. She had a wonderful relationship with her mom. She said her heart is still broken, obviously, and that she has so much love to give now that she definitely wants to have, kids in her future. And so Lindsay and her, like you said, are just talking about this, and Lindsay shares a little bit of her personal story too and what kids do for heartache, because she opens up that she has not a good relationship with her mom, Lindsay says.
Have we heard anything about Aunt Rhonda? Remember, she used to always call Aunt Rhonda. I heard at one point that she doesn't fuck with Aunt Rhonda either.
Really?
I don't know if that's misinformation, but I kind of remember that.
I thought that, okay, so we only saw In the City once that for 4 minutes an hour ago, but I thought that maybe Lindsay Hubbard was FaceTiming someone and I didn't know who it was. But I didn't remember
I think that might be her dad and his wife that she called and said she was blindsided, remember?
Okay. Okay, you're right. So, I did not know that. I did not know that she doesn't talk.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but I was like, where's Rhonda? Remember, she used to always call Rhonda, all the time.
Yeah, she'd always be like, help me, Rhonda.
Help me, Rhonda.
Then, Sierra, we get a wonderful scene with Sierra and her mom. Now, you'll have to remind me. So when you were saying that Sierra, she gets emotional when she's talking about her parents and her dad. Her dad and her have an estranged relationship. They haven't spoken in 4 years. I thought that she said also that her and her mom have a difficult relationship as well. Do you recall what Sierra and her mom's sort of issues are? Because it seemed like they had a good, fun, honest relationship with each other in this scene, but I didn't remember
Yes.
If
my memory, if it's correct, is that her mom remarried after her parents' divorce and had more kids. And so Sierra always felt like she had a new family and she felt sort of left in the dust. That's the thing that I remember. But yeah, I was happy to see that they were having a nice conversation and she was helping her through this. But yeah, so she talks about, first of all, she says she'll always have a place in New York City, but if she wants to raise a family, she wants more space. She said she wants to have a couple cats, a couple dogs, maybe a goat, a horse, a cow, a pig, which, I love that. And her mom brings up, she's like, you didn't tell anyone in the family. And I was like, how does this work? What do you mean? And I'm not totally clear on the details, like if the grandparents died and then it was for up to the entire family to sell it and split the proceeds, or if her dad specifically, it sounded like it was the whole family selling the house. But Sierra went undercover, created an LLC and a trust, bought the house as the trust. So no one in her family knows that she's
Right.
the winner of
Yeah.
the sale. And I'm like, that's kind of wild.
So yeah, so I also was I also didn't know the details of that the family, like the dad, it was he inherited it and he was going to potentially sell it, or the family was going to sell it, and they didn't know that they were actually having a
Bidding
real
war.
estate interaction with this trust that was actually Sierra was behind it. Like
It was like Bedbug Inc.
Yeah, totally. It was like when what's his in the Sex and the City movie when Samantha is outbidding the
Yes.
what's
Smith.
Smith, and he's on the line being like, bid up that thing or whatever, that big diamond flower or whatever. But
Yeah.
I thought that was like, yeah, I had no idea, but I was almost slightly confused as to if they inherited the family when the grandparents died, they chose to sell it.
Right.
And then Sierra was like, you can't sell this house. I want it, so I will buy it. And you're negotiating with me, but I'm just under a trust. That's what I assumed.
Maybe she was just trying to get around there being fighting about the price or who in the family deserves to have it or something. Like she's like, if they don't know who it is, I can just win it outright and pay the value that they decide blindly that it's worth. But I was like, that I think will lead to drama. Like that's kind of a crazy thing.
Yeah, we'll see. Sierra does say that her dad is going to find out now. So like right now,
does he watch the show weekly?
I mean, I imagine that I don't know the relationship, but like I would imagine that he's privy to things that are going on, and I do think he's going to find out, or stuff comes out, when this show airs, and I'm sure he has people in his life that will tell him. But I have to say, Sierra was like, I know he'll probably misconstrue my intentions here, but I hope he can see the sort of goal here. And she still includes her dad in the future of this house, which I thought was very beautiful. That despite not talking, she was like, when you have grandkids, she's talking to her mom and dad, when you have grandkids, you get to be the grandparents who have this house and get to have holidays with your family. So she still is keeping them in mind for the future. And I think she's just expecting that even if it gets a little acrimonious, she's eventually just going to have this conversation, and hopefully her dad will see that she had good intentions by purchasing this.
Because it is a win-win. It's like you get your money and your daughter gets to keep the house in the family, which was your father's dream. That's what he wanted. So it's more to come there. I hope they keep featuring the renovation because I'm into that shit. I'm like, can they open that wall? Is she going to keep a lot of the original details because her grandfather built them himself? There was that vintage bar. I was like, if she fucking touches that vintage bar, I'm going to blow a gasket.
Oh my God, I want to see that stuff too. I wish Sierra was continuing to show her renovations on In the City as a cast member. So this will be great. I love that we checked in. I liked seeing Sierra with her mom. That was wonderful. Then we go back to traveling to the house. We get a lot of car stuff. There's a lot of conversations going on in the cars, as conversations would naturally bubble up for 4 hours when they're taking this drive all of the time. First, West is in a car with Jesse, Dara, Bailey. West went to an Italian wedding, and apparently from these stories that they show, he had quite a time drinking wine, showing his ass,
doing the splits, spinning around
splits. And he goes, I had a horrible time coming back. And Jesse goes, did you cry? And he goes, well, at the help desk at American Airlines. And Jesse goes, at the wedding. And they all laugh, at the humor of that. And then the other car is the big one. Mia, Sierra, Ben, and Carl are driving, and they talk about how Lindsay texted Carl and said, "Thanks so much for my baby New York City book. I loved that it showed all of the boroughs of New York City in it. Thank you, Carl." And Carl said when he got that text, he went, "Whoa, Lindsay Hubbard's texting me," because she hasn't texted him in 2 years. And it's a beautiful, sweet moment between
Can you
them all.
imagine what the text previous was?
Great question. No way. I cannot even imagine. I bet it was sent in that ink, that wet ink, to where he had to scrub if he wanted to see it. Do you know what I'm talking about? Does it stay scrubbed?
Invisible ink.
Invisible
No, it goes
ink.
right back.
It does. See, that's.
Yeah.
I bet the last one, you asked me, and this is my theory, the last one was sent in invisible ink, and he had to work to see what the hell that thing said. But this, then, I think it's so, like we were talking about with Uber Eats, Carl and Lindsay being able to have a productive conversation and some sweetness between them after what we dealt with 2 years ago is very, very beautiful. I am so proud of them. And then Carl goes, "But not everything is sweet." He goes, "I had a horrible, horrible week, and we know why." It's the right before Lindsay's birthday is the anniversary of Carl's brother passing, which his book gets into it in a much bigger way than they've ever shown on the show. And he said that everyone reached out, mostly everyone, Mia, Jesse, and he goes, "But Kyle didn't say shit." And you could tell he's very, very hurt. And Kyle even put a little extra salt in the wound by giving Lindsay Hubbard one of the best birthday tributes I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Kyle says later, he's like, "Well, Lindsay keeps score with that shit. You have to post about her birthday."
I
loved
loved getting that tidbit.
Yeah, I was like, she'll be pissed if you don't. So you didn't even think about Carl. So yeah, the other car's talking about it too. Like Jesse brings it up. And so then later we'll get to it, but West brings it up to Kyle, like to warn him. And then we get the tease that Ben says that he needs to have a chat with Amanda because she told Sabrina that everyone in the house thinks Ben is in love with me. And Sabrina's upset. He's upset. Which honestly, to me, I'm like, ugh, Ben's like pissed again about some bullshit like this. Like, I don't fucking care at all.
Well, thank God you said it. Oh my God, no. He treated this like this was a true crime documentary. The footage of it, I was like, oh my God, this is so not a fucking big deal at all. I mean, say what you will about the new evil that is within Amanda, but it sounded like an irreverent joke that they've all been joking about again. And for him to get pissed off, it's like, God damn, do you not want to have any fun? Are you like pulling people to the principal's office every single day because they didn't show deference to Sabrina, this person they met one day ago, an hour ago?
Yeah.
It's no matter your new interpretation, the language sounds like a joke. I love Ben so much, even though everyone in the house thinks he's in love with me. Ha ha. Like Bailey commented on this. She didn't say it sounded so much worse in the teaser. It was like, even though I think Ben is in love with me, which I would say is a little more shocking, but still irreverent humor. This was just noting the fact of the case that we've all seen before.
The only thing that I keep waiting for, which I'm like, is it going to be on like the finale? Like when is it the teaser soundbite where she goes, "He wanted to fuck me in Italy," and we still don't know if she's saying that in jest. Like, it's not like he wanted to fuck me in Italy and they just like cut it off, or if she's now entering that into evidence,
I don't know.
We can't know what we don't know.
Given what we've seen of these teases, I will not be surprised if it's just a way of saying something, and it doesn't mean that Ben actually was trying to have sex. He calls this a really off comment. He's like, Sabrina is in shambles. He goes, she's like, the guy I'm falling in love with loves Amanda. What am I to think of this? It's like it sent her just like spiraling for the night. Now he's upset about it. I'm just like, I really think Ben. No offense. God, I feel so bad. I don't want to say anything anymore. Don't clip this. Ben obviously just fucking
No,
lied
there are
about
no
his.
Ben defenders.
No, but still, who knows where everybody's minds will go now and loyalties will go. Like, who knows? Don't clip this, but he obviously is so mad because he's starting a relationship with Sabrina and he doesn't want anybody to think that he was cheating on her during this time. So that's why he gave Bailey that stern talking to, like, there was nothing between us and I don't like or between me and Amanda. And then he kissed her to get the scent off of him so that the producers wouldn't be like, why are you so deferential to this person that you dated when you said you're not dating anyone? And then now again, he's like, oh, I finally get to reveal that I had a girlfriend all the time, and now I'm going to chastise everyone for mocking our sacred love that we have and we have always had.
When he talks to Amanda later, he says what she did was a bit shit.
It's shit. I was like, oh my God. Like, Amanda had to go to the principal's office with Ben again, just like Bailey did.
I love how terrified she was. She was like, what? When he's like, I need to pull you aside. She's like, seriously?
She goes, no, are you fucking kidding? No, please. Where do you want to go? By the batting cages?
When that happens on these shows, when someone's like, can I pull you aside? And they're like, no.
Like, oh, we don't really do that on this show. Like, this fucking sucks. She's like, where do you want me to sit? What, you're gonna berate me for this? He goes, I'm falling in love with Sabrina, and she's my number one priority now. And everyone's like, I mean, if I was in the car, I'd be like, what the fuck is going on with Ben and Sabrina?
Yeah.
Why was he lying to us the entire time? Back to the house. Fun. I mean, Sierra wants to start making margaritas immediately. I was like, that would be the most fun thing I've ever had happen to me in my life. The minute you touch down in the house, Sierra's making margaritas. Wes like, I need to shake them up. But the shaker is filled with something. And then he looks at it and it's a bunch of curdled blue cheese that they left from last weekend.
Worst case scenario, truly. I could imagine. Everyone was like, just throw it away. I was like, yeah, you actually do have to just throw it completely in the trash. There's no saving that thing.
Yeah.
Okay, it immediately gets into sad territory because Carl talks more to Ben and Jesse about Kyle. And he's like, a real friend would know my brother's anniversary of his passing. And he's like, he kind of I think that my reaction after everything he said was that he's just sick of Kyle, period. Yeah. He goes, if this house was on fire, the first thing Kyle would grab is the DJ equipment. He wouldn't grab you or me. And he's like, what do you have left when all of it's gone? And he goes, he never listens. I know how Amanda feels. And he just does whatever the fuck he wants. And I was like, oh, he's just pissed, period.
Quite an image he painted. Kyle running out of the summer house as it's on flames with only his DJ equipment. And then he goes that he wouldn't even grab one of your hands. The people that he lives with. He would just come out with his speakers and stuff. It was like, damn. It made me think. He, at a certain point at the end, he kind of has a hard time telling Kyle that it's not just one or two things, that it's overall this sense that Kyle doesn't treat him well as a friend. So I agree with you. He's given us a little couple peeks as to how he's feeling, but they've been addressed by Kyle in a way, not to Carl's satisfaction, obviously, but he's like the lover, not investing in soft bar. And then now this, it's all indicates to him that Kyle isn't being a good friend to him. But ultimately, when Kyle asks him about it, it's almost too much for him to say in the moment. What did you think about then? Is sort of in a concurrent scene, West goes to Kyle, and he goes. Kyle's like, or West like, Carl is a little upset with you, right? And Kyle's like, for the soft bar shit again, which is really funny because it shows you. It shows you how they all think, in terms of scenes and what's coming up and what the cast members are going to use against them in a way. And he's like, for the soft bar stuff again? And Wes like, no. He goes, no, about how the fact that you didn't text him on his brother's anniversary of his passing, and you did the Lindsay's birthday tribute. It really hurt his feelings. And then Kyle kind of, if he hadn't been properly warned by West. He kind of gives you a preview of what he could have possibly said to Carl. He goes, I was stressed and I had a bunch of laundry to do that day, over 2 or 3 loads, including drying them. And West goes, oh, he goes, Kyle, he goes, don't justify it. When you talk to him about it, please don't bring up laundry. Just say that you're sorry and you love him. And I really think, I mean, really, I know we want to see the first reactions of cast members and we don't want them warned, but I do think there was some merit to Kyle being warned first before he went into that conversation with Carl.
It's kind of interesting based on everything that has now occurred that West has taken it upon himself to be the Kyle whisperer in the past few episodes. Like, he's really trying to, there's a lot of talk about what his intentions were when it was regarding Amanda, but this has nothing to do with Amanda, and it's about Carl. And I'm like, why is he trying to, like, he's like, say this, not that. Like, when you talk to Amanda, just apologize, don't say this. And then he's like, when you talk to Carl, don't say laundry, say that you love him. Like, he's really trying to help him on that level, which is just kind of interesting, and also lends to them having been close.
Yeah, totally. It's all good advice. And when Carl says that he has a hard time talking to Kyle, about his feelings, and to me, that's what made West talking to Kyle about how he treated Amanda so shocking, because I don't think we're used to people confronting Kyle a lot of the times, because he goes fucking off on them.
Only Paige.
Only Paige. Paige fought back like hell against Kyle. But I think West has taken it upon himself to be a sort of interpreter, and he feels a little more comfortable talking to Kyle in a certain way, where we see that Carl has trouble articulating his feelings to Kyle later, where when Kyle has to basically say, like, hey, whatever you want to say, when you get your words together, you can let me know at any time, So it's all about how people confront Kyle in a way.
Yeah. Did you notice also that scene started with West going in their bathroom again? I was like, do you have something stored in there? Why do you keep going in their closet bathroom area?
What do you think? What would be the most horrible thing you could have stored?
I don't know. Drugs.
Drugs. Yeah, I mean, yeah, quite possibly. So Carl then goes, this guy doesn't listen, talking, he's oh my God, I don't want to be mean ever again in my life. I can't stand it. A part of me is like, did Carl say, this is my truth
moment.
This season? No, not moment. I'm being trying to think about it. Is Carl being like, I have my 4 things, obviously, because we know that they map out storylines. I'm not breaking the fourth wall. We know that they know going in what they're going to talk about.
Yeah.
I think that Carl has real frustrations with Kyle, but I think there's a part of him that is really thinking about how he wants to put this all to truly say, how he feels about everything. And he's gotten to the point now where he's just like, Kyle doesn't give one shit about me at all. And I'm not sure if I'm ready to go full. I guess that's what I'll say. I'm not sure if I'm ready to go full onto Carl's side, that Kyle is just so shitty to Carl and it treats him so badly as a friend that's why he forgot to give him, to reach out to him. There's somewhere in the middle, for both of them, I think here.
Yeah, because in his book, he was quite complimentary about Kyle, but it seems like something in the last year or just that summer that he's really started to think about it. And with the Amanda stuff, I think he's also protective of Amanda, so maybe he's just looking at him differently. But something, God knows what needs to happen from this point to the screaming match that happens, like what's going to happen? Yeah.
But, no, and I don't doubt that Carl is, I don't doubt that Carl's going through this, and I don't doubt this is how he feels. I'm just wondering, if I'm just wondering how this was like handled in the house, and I could tell that Carl was really kind of set back a little bit when he found out that West had warned Kyle, about how Carl was feeling. I felt like it sort of put him a little off kilter about how to handle that scene in a way.
Right.
But he goes, he doesn't listen. He goes, I know how Amanda feels right now. Who wants a friend that doesn't listen to them and who just has a general sense of I do whatever the fuck I want. And then Jesse, this is kind of my thoughts on it. He goes, there is no way that he knows that you feel this way right now,
Right.
which is true. I don't think
Yeah.
Kyle knows that this is how awful Carl feels treated by Kyle in this moment.
Carl, he says later, he has issues speaking up. That was a problem with him and Lindsay that made him hard to defend sometimes, because it's like, speak up, like say what you're feeling, because you're talking about it in the confessionals and you're not telling her that you're devastated by the things she's saying. So it's like something he needs to work on, which, in the clip from next week, he's like, if I could drink a bottle of rosé and do a line of Coke, I would tell him exactly how I feel. So for a long time, that's what he was doing to get his emotions out. And now without that, it's scarier, which I totally get. Okay, let's go to this golf course. We get a throwback, as you mentioned, that they went here in 2019. It was like Carl, Kyle, Jordan, and Luke. And this is where Luke and Carl almost get in a physical fight because Luke asked out the rock climbing girl that Carl liked or something. It was very dumb. I remember this era where I was like, I don't even care about Luke, but why does everyone keep getting mad at him? It was always very confusing to me that there kept being these huge blow-ups about Luke. That time that, is it Kyle that took his shirt off, or like when Lindsay had to like hold him by his shorts and Carl runs out the front door towards him? Like there was always much going on.
They both took their shirts off and ran after Luke, chasing him. Yeah. This was when, I always say this, but I'll just say it again. That was when Carl did not know himself. And I always thought that he came off a little performative when he does a spiked football on the ground about how mad he is at Luke. That always has sort of felt like a little bit of bordering on fake moment for me. So not, but it doesn't matter because they're going back here and they're having fun. Mini golf, driving range. We learn that West sucks at golf, Jesse says at one point, and that Sierra drove a golf ball 250 yards, which is 150 yards more than West has ever done in his life. And they show West do a cartoonishly bad mini golf. Like it looked like National Lampoon's Vacation, where it goes pop, 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 and it bounces off a bunch of stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Like when a ball like it spins around on a windmill and stuff.
Flopping. I feel like we kind of talked about the, Carl takes Kyle aside and they have this heart-to-heart. I feel like we talked about like the general bullet points. He's basically like, he said that he was disappointed in him for that reason. Kyle's like, I'm usually always with you on that day, so it didn't even occur to me, which actually kind of makes sense to me. It's like, it's always automatic because they're in the house together, so that the fact that they weren't, he totally blanked on it. And he's like, it's the story of my summer. I'm letting you down. I'm letting Loverboy down. I'm letting Amanda down. Like, I'm fucking flopping over here. And Carl, like, really just like wants him. He's like, puts the knife in every chance he gets. He's like, you were the guy that I ran to that day. You're the first person I told, which I think does make sense of why it was more hurtful, because they should be like trauma bonded through that moment. Like it should be but like it should be like seared into Kyle's memory forever that morning,
Yeah, I like I said, I really do see both of their feelings on this. It sounds so awful when I think about it from Carl's perspective, and then I do understand why Kyle not having him in the moment to like, be there made him have a lapse in judgment and not realizing how much it would mean to Carl, for him to do that. So, Carl says a lot. Like he says like, I don't feel like you're doing things for me. Kyle kind of pushes back, which you don't really want. He's like, you don't invite me to things. You do cool things all over the city. I don't get invited, which you're like, oh no, come on. Let's just listen to Carl. Like this is a sensitive topic and you can see that he's having trouble. And then he's like, basically Kyle's like, cat got your tongue. What did you want to say? When you can string a couple words together, let me know. I'm not unapproachable. You can say anything you want to me at any time. And I was like, he kind of said a lot. Like he said what he was heard about. He said that his feelings were hurt. I was like, what was more to be said? Like, it needed to be like wrapped with a final bow. But you can tell Carl feels so defeated again. And the producers ask him, what did you want to say? And he goes, I wanted to say, fuck you. To Kyle.
Yeah.
Because if you treat me like this, who the fuck are your other friends? If I'm your best friend, I've been with you for a decade, and this is how you treat me. So it's like he's now interpreting Kyle in a new light. He's like, oh, no wonder Amanda fucking feels like shit with you. You don't treat people in your life well. So that's kind of his final point to Kyle.
Yes. Yeah, he's like sick of his shit. Okay, then we finally get this Ben and Amanda talk, which we already said. She's completely thrown off when he pulls her aside. She's like, where? What? And she's like bug-eyed. She's like, huh? And he brings up the comment, everyone thinks he's in love with me. He's like, why did you say it? Sabrina didn't know if you were joking. And she's like, oh my God. She's like, I was singing your praises. I don't know. I didn't mean to. And he's like, it was a bit shit.
It was a bit shit. It reminds me of Pinocchio Gate on Beverly Hills. Like, Amanda doesn't even really know she said it. It was just like when you're having fun, saying stuff or whatever. But Sabrina, like, it ruined her week. She was like, we see the scenes from next week where she's like, I was completely blindsided. It hurt me and struck me so bad. So I don't know. I don't know what people will think about Amanda's comment and, considering everything. But this is the second time now I've seen Ben need to pull people aside for not respecting his beautiful love for Sabrina. And it's kind of enough. Again, I don't know you enough, Ben. I don't know you for shit. So I don't really like you taking cast members aside and berating them for not respecting your wonderful love.
I do think she loves the shining gaze of Ben. I think she will be sad to not get that anymore, because that's sort of been an underlying thing the whole time of like him picking her up at the carnival and like bringing her over the threshold when they get home from the club. Like, they do have a certain flirtation. That's what Bailey was commenting on. So I'm curious how she'll react if he has to fully go gray rock to her now that he's secretly had a girlfriend the whole time. But we see it next week. She has a one-on-one with Sabrina where she apologizes, and there's a party. I couldn't quite make out what the theme will be, but it seems that the biggest thing that we're going to have to grapple with is that West has his little mitt, like a little claw, on some girl in one of the Adirondack chairs out back, and they're all like, who the fuck is this girl that West is like going to bang later? And Sierra, they cut to a girl's conversation in the bedroom, and Sierra's crying, and I'm like, oh my God, here we go. This is the beginning of entering into evidence that they still had unresolved feelings. This is what we've been waiting for, and that I wonder if that ends with the bedroom hug that we've been seeing in all the previews, or if that's later.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, is that scene going to be after this, to be like, West doing whatever, like, I still care about you or something after being seen doing this? Yeah, West grabbing. You should have seen it. His hands were talons. Like, I couldn't even see his hands. They were grabbing so quickly all over this person that we've never seen before. I was like, holy shit. So thank God we don't have to talk about that till next week. I have no thoughts. I don't know what the hell is going to happen. So I want to ask you, Amy, for the love of God, can I take a little kind of a break? I don't want to call it what it is, but I have to take a break. And then can we kind of rip through Rhode Island and Atlanta? I feel like people are going to be like, I want to hear about Summer House and In the City. And I don't know how many people are going to care too much about
Atlanta first impressions. It was the first episode. We're still meeting the new people, figuring out what's going on. So we'll do first thoughts, and then Rhode Island, just the entertaining moments, which I thought there were a few.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So much fun. So let's take a little break, Amy, you and I, and we'll be right back.
Mate.
Well, for a small state, there's big drama here.
Oh, yes. I have to say, Rhode Island is filling my New Jersey hole. And like I said before, I'm like, do we even need New Jersey anymore?
Damn, it's filling your hole so much that you don't even need Jersey, which has Teresa and Melissa and Dolores. Because I guess your Dolores is already filling a hole on the.
My Dolores hole is full.
But
I'm getting my Italian fix. It feels like old New Jersey in a certain way. I will say these women at least have a sort of cachet or like energy that I think has been hard to find in recent like reboots, or I don't know. I think they have personality.
Totally. Yes, of course. Yeah, I guess I'm not viewing this personally as a replacement for New Jersey. Maybe that was the intention before they made something work. Because I still, I think that Teresa still has a lot to contribute, but I know what you mean. This really is, I think, the best version of starting a new franchise. I think they're all very fun. They're all entertaining on their own. I think Alicia, this episode, I was like, I already knew I loved Alicia from last week, and then she just keeps on going. I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm a total Alicia stan. She's like, I drove off a bridge one time and ran over a woman. And they're like, what did you say? The second part? She goes, I ran over a woman. It's like, oh my God. She loves crackers.
Fig Newtons.
Fig Newtons. She says she doesn't leave the house without a big boost of Fig Newtons. So this really kept the entertainment going. Everyone was fun. Like you said, there's family involved. People have already touched on this, but one of the major secrets for a successful franchise is that they have a lot of history that we never saw. They've crossed paths in ways that you couldn't even imagine. And then when they give RHOA, who... Oh, wait, what was I talking about, Alicia? I love RHOA. RHOA's my favorite cast member. When she comes out, they're like, Joe Ellen sent photos to her to show that her husband was cheating on her. And I was like, whoa, before the show started? The fact that you get that before the show starts is really what makes some magic happen. Whereas when RHONI, they were like, we went to a party and there was too much cheese on a platter.
Right.
Do you remember the cheese? It was like, oh my God, you guys had one meeting right before, and then that's where all the drama stemmed from. Whereas
Did you see that Bethany made a video recently and she brought up that the Catch restaurant storyline? She was like, remember when RHONI just smeared the name of one of the great New York restaurants, Catch? And I was like, we cannot be talking about that still in 2026.
Do I remember? No? Maybe you remember? Why does Bethany remember?
Oh
I thought Bethany said she doesn't want to watch that show for the life of her. It's too horrible. She remembers the Catch, the Catch drama from the first two episodes.
Reminded me. But yeah, this has what New Jersey always had, which was like family entanglements, like childhood entanglements. So that does make it more interesting because they can bring up stuff from years past. It also, there's an affair storyline fresh out the gate. There's one of them has a pregnant daughter, which isn't really like scandalous, but it's like, it adds to that family element that kind of reminds me of New Jersey. And then there's what was the third thing? There's the polyamory, if you want to call it that, or just open relationship of Kelsey's boyfriend living outside of the house for 6 months of the year and her having a different boyfriend at this point because she's like, I'm actually not fulfilled in that situation.
Yeah, and Liz, I don't know if you already said Liz might be having an affair. Did you mention that? One critique, one critique I have is that I don't think that when a franchise starts this well with cast members that are entertaining and they have this entrenched history, I really think that they can kind of slow it down before we're already in the Sprinter van going to wineries as a cast. Like, I'm not sure what the impulse is to like repeat the formula for every single franchise to instantly get an all cast within like an episode. Like, couldn't they have just like existed for a while talking about each other? Did Joellen? I mean, we're waiting for Joellen to meet RHOA again because she doesn't come to this. But I'm like, I just can we breathe for a second? Like, that was my critique of Ladies of London. I was like, my God, like they really just shoved those people together within 1 second. They immediately started throwing rumors around and fighting, and it seemed so forced and fake. The old franchises, Vicky didn't meet, who was an OG? Vicky didn't meet who's a good OG? Vicky didn't meet Vicky didn't even meet who else was I? Oh. Vicky didn't even meet Gina Keogh until like the finale. And they were on a show together. You know what I mean? Like, can't they just like be like
Similar.
how would people meet if they were actually in a group? Like, yeah, so that was my one critique. Like, why are we at a winery playing deep questions?
Right.
Even though it's about what they do with questions.
Right.
It was funny. It was fun. Throwing Rula's present in the trash was funny and fun. Like, they did a good job, but I'm like, come on. I don't want to know. I don't want to be able for you and I to write the 7 things that'll happen in a season no matter what, regardless.
Right.
Overall in the arc of a 16-episode season. So, like, I wish that they could have just taken it a little easy before the Sprinter van trips and stuff.
Right. Yeah, Rula, I was a little disappointed. She was like, I can't come.
Disappointed. Oh yeah. She goes, yeah, she did do she goes, I was in the emergency room all night, but they were like, you're wearing a cool hat that no one would wear sick and full glam.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny though, interesting for Rula to bow out of her first all cast, you know, immediately. It's like, what the hell is going on here? I love Rula. I gotta say, Rula seems, I want to know more about this cast member Rula, but we get a little bit more about Ashley, which I like Ashley.
Mhm.
First of all, there's a little bit of poking fun at what Ashley wears in the Sprinter van.
Right.
Everyone goes, what? They go, is she going to bring a turkey leg into the van? Because she looks like a Renaissance figure. And I think Alicia calls her a folklore the inhabiting the entire ethos of folklore with lambs with women on a mountain.
I was having trouble trying to understand. She was like folklore person.
She was thinking about folklore, and then gave us a real quick example of folklore: lambs with women on the mountains. And then she goes, is she turning Irish over there? So they really had a kind of a fun time of Ashley, and Ashley is the most out of this. She's the most adrift from this group. She's learning, kind of the audience surrogate. She's like, Joellen, you know Rula, and Rosie knows you all. She's kind of like piecing it all together because she was sort of cast to be in this group, for lack of a better term. But it's fun, you know. It's good to see what she thinks, you know, her perspective. And I think she's fun. But then in addition to wearing that folklore dress, she also talks about how her husband, Jared, he's got the coffee shop blues. She's like,
their life is hell.
He goes, he's so upset. She says he's so upset because his enterprise that he wanted to sort of like contribute to the world. And as a dad, he said it's floundering and flopping, and he has to spend 11 hours there. And so I really felt so sad for her when she was like crying on the swings. First of all, they couldn't get the baby swing to work, which Penny loves the swing so much, and I felt so bad. Their babies were just going front forward. You saw front forward, flopping around. Those were horrible baby seat swings. So she's having this like trouble, and then she's like, I don't need you gone from the house more to work on your coffee shop. And then Joellen kind of, she was like, don't worry, you're in the thick of it now. Like, this is obviously... does your husband know that you like love him? She's like, I tell him every single day, but he just feels like a failure. So there was some great stuff. And also Joellen, I thought, was maybe a little one note in the premiere. And she actually showed like a lot of cool sides of her. Like, I like how she treated the Rula stuff, where she was like, I just sent a photo that person posted of them kissing your, what is it, husband or boyfriend? Husband. And then they treated her like scum. They're like, you're gonna show us that I cheated? I'm gonna call your work and say you're a horrible employee. It's like, oh my God. She goes, and
it was giving Bo Dietl.
Totally.
Calling Margaret's kids at school or whatever.
Yeah. And they were like, well, there, you know, Rula just has some questions for you. And she's like, she has questions for me? What the fuck does she have to ask me about? Her husband's the one cheating. He's the one who needs to answer questions. I was like, that is so the right mindset on this. Like, what the fuck is RHOA and her husband?
Yeah.
As much as I love RHOA.
Did you write down what Alicia put on her little question card? Because it's like not in English.
She goes, the truth of how much I love you is here for all to see, ? But is the truth real that you cheat on husband? And Liz goes, who the hell wrote this one? She goes, can you please read it? And Alicia says, yeah, I wanted to know if I love you so much, but I wanted to know if those rumors are true about you cheating. And
yeah, she was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, like about if you're having an affair.
Yeah, that seems to me like Alicia and Liz have a friendship, but that was like, I've been always thinking about asking you that. So I might as well take this weird opportunity of us answering questions about each other to do this.
Yeah.
But Liz says, no, Dino is like a little brother.
I love that it's a guy named Dino who she hangs out with while her husband is deep sea fishing.
Me too. So, my thoughts, great. Compared to RHONI or Ladies of London. Sorry.
The jury's not out for me on Ladies of London. I enjoyed watching it. I don't know if I need to recap it, but I think there's a lot of value there in those personalities.
No, we'll recap it. Of course. I'm just being really mean about it so that you and I don't have to recap it.
I know.
Just kidding.
We really have to have a headquarters call about how we can possibly cover this many shows.
No,
so we're just doing short Rhode Island and Atlanta today because Summer House takes an hour and a half, period.
Yeah, and in the city trailer drop, we had no clue that was coming for us. No. Ladies of London, the jury is still out. I'm wearing the big jury that British people wear of a big powdered wig. I'm like, I have not banged the gavel down. I thought it was good. For me, Kimmy was such a letdown for me. I was so sad. Kimmy has all of the wonderful hallmarks of what I thought I would be like a fucking pig in shit rolling around watching Kimmy, and I was so bummed out. I think that there are 3 or 4 shining stars that are wonderful, that are beaming into heaven, and then there was a couple people where I was like, oh boy, so it's not, all I'll just say is it's not like Rhode Island where I don't know anybody yet, but I'm entertained by all of them so far. Right. I'm not talking shit about Ladies of London. I'm sorry. I don't actually mean that. I'm just saying, good start to this show. Please let these cast members breathe a little more before you start making them pull out the rule book on them for the 16 episode season arc that they have to do. But regardless, this was fun as hell. Great cast. So funny. I don't know. Anything else to say about that?
Yeah, no, I'm excited to just have this to watch personally. I think it's a fun new show and it doesn't feel like a chore to watch. It's kind of just funny and pleasant. It has dashes of Salt Lake in its silliness. I saw a tweet that was like, this is a cast of Lisa Barlow's. It's almost like they're all Lisa Barlow. They're all kind of have that goofiness.
My dream.
Yeah, certainly Alicia with that, her way of being is Barlow-esque. But so more to come there. We'll keep our eyes on it. I think has very much has promise. We also, let's touch on Atlanta, a warm welcome. I don't remember the last time this show was on. Was it last year?
Questions of time and things such as that, I do not have, but it feels like it's been a long time since we went to Atlanta. Warm welcome, it was called.
Yes. It started, did you like how it started with Cynthia Bailey watching the preview of what's to come and turning around and going, now what else is going on?
Did I like it? No. I loved it. I thought it was so fun watching what's coming with Cynthia. What a great way to be like, Cynthia Bailey is here and she's watching everything. I love how it was filmed. It was unique. Have they ever had a cast member looking at a big TV, clicking play, and then talking to us after? That is a new, wonderful thing. I thought it was amazing. I said shining stars about some other cast members, but I have to say K. Michelle is an
Yeah.
absolute like shining star, Hall of Fame casting.
Agreed.
She completely makes this episode in every way. She's in every single scene. She is so funny. She's so accomplished. She
Yeah.
really doesn't give a shit about this. I mean, she cares about this show, but she's not like purposefully trying to wade into drama to have conflict to like keep her
Right.
peach or something. She seems very self-assured. She even leaves at one point the drama because she's like, this fucking sucks. I wanted to come here and have a fun party, and they're talking about recording people at sports games and reviewing the footage. She like wants to go smoke a cigar. I loved it. Her chemistry with Charles at the table. I was like, this is one of the most fun duos I've ever seen in my life.
Yes. She had one of my favorite quotes of the night where in my notes I wrote down her alter ego named Puddin, which is her performance name, which I think I've heard of her. I recognize that name. But she made a joke that Shamia came in with a mohawk and a new body, and then I see a lady with a white wig and a violin, and she says this is some Tyler Perry shit. When it cuts to the woman in the white wig playing the violin, it was like a classic Bravo moment of like, like Paul Nassif dressed as a little elf in the tree, like when the parties always have, or the mermaid flopping on Beverly Hills, like like the goofy party elements that they always have.
It absolutely was. I mean, K. Michelle, 5 gold records, 2 platinum records, and 4 #1 albums. I love Drew. I love Drew. But it was kind of a little silly when Drew was like, who's K. Michelle? Who joined the cast? Does she still make music? And it's like, Drew, my God. I don't know if that's the point I would make against K. Michelle in terms of her music career. It seems like she's pretty accomplished over there, but I was so happy to see Drew again, though. It was so fun. She goes, yep, I've still got a man under the floorboards. Ralph, as you all know him. I was like, oh my God. And then Drew had her boyfriend on a FaceTime call because Portia has a meeting of all couples. She wanted it originally to be called Mystic River, and it was going to be I guess, ode to that film. I'm like, wow, Portia likes Mystic River a lot. But it was a Mystic River themed party where everyone brings their significant others, and some people did. A lot of people did, but some people didn't because they were either traveling. But Drew is the only one who said, sorry, my significant other couldn't make it, but he's going to be on FaceTime for 3 hours the entire time, sitting there.
Yeah.
With her the entire time, getting to kind of take part in it. And that was when K. Michelle goes, I don't know what's going on at this party. Drew's got a boyfriend on FaceTime with a ring light. It was really silly, but a wonderful, kind of a fun party. Even they do sex questions.
I know. They did also remind us that K. Michelle was also featured on, I think it was a Peacock original, Queen's Court. And I was like, maybe I need to go back because I do find her quite entertaining and funny.
Me too.
Did you also notice, I don't know if you watched it on like regular air, but they had Portia and Drew do a You, Me, and Tuscany ad.
Thank God you said something. Yes. And I've seen people getting their press packages or PR packages for You, Me, and Tuscany right now.
Oh.
You have no idea what the hell is. I'm sending it to you now. Pasta.
Do you know the tagline?
Tell me, please.
She came for the pasta and got lost in the sauce.
I just got chills. Whoever wrote that should be a millionaire. That is so good. And then oh my God, I can't stop thinking about it. Janet from the Valley just showed off her You, Me, and Tuscany.
Damn, where's ours?
I would talk about, I swear to God, if they sent you and I those PR packages, I would talk about You, Me, and Tuscany once a month for the rest of Turtle Time. That movie looked awesome, and they figured out a new way to not have Lisa Rinna go see Minions by herself and say, what a good film. I'm so glad I got to go to the premiere of Minions. I wish I had somebody to talk to about this. Instead, it was an extended 5-minute commercial where Drew and Portia talked about going to see the film, and they had little fun things to do about it. It's more of a commercial and not embedded into the content, which I loved.
There was also a Shamia Airwick ad, and I'm like, yeah, everyone get your check. Okay, we also get Pinky Cole, who she introduces herself as a Times 100, Forbes 1000, 8 magazine cover, Essence cover phenomenon. She owns this brand, a restaurant chain, Slutty Vegan. I think in the preview, there's like more to come about her finances. Like I think she goes bankrupt at some point, so there's more to come there. But I think she's quite well known.
Yes.
As like a entrepreneur.
Pinky and Kelly have a little bit of a thing. They both accuse the other of ignoring DMs. I thought that was very interesting. Pinky goes up to Kelly right at the start of the party and goes, "Hey, Kelly, good to see you. The last time I messaged you, you left me on red." And so it's like, okay, that's obviously going to come into play at some point. And then Kelly in her confessional says that Pinky did the exact same thing to her. It's like, how could you both have left each other on red and use that as an excuse? I got you very clearly. We got to see the message history and be like, who didn't respond to who at this point? Pinky, Pinky was great. We don't. K. Michelle gets a lot more spotlight than Pinky in this episode, I have to say. So I got a lot more. I got to know K. Michelle a lot more than Pinky, but obviously, still fun. There was a lot of lingering drama from last season. I was happy that Portia still included Shamia. They're not best friends anymore, but she's like, I'm not going to make this like a bigger thing if I host everybody and don't bring her. And I felt like they both, had a good attitude towards each other, like still hugging. Portia was still deferential to Shamia, in the scenes and everything. But we know that ultimately, I think Portia wanted to be a good host, so she didn't bring anything up. But we know that there's going to be more, obviously, between Shamia and Portia, and their kind of lapse in friendship that they're having right now.
Right. Yeah. Apparently, in between seasons, Shamia did a long YouTube video apologizing to the cast. And they sort of gave it a joke edit. And then Drew does a spoof of the apology video. So I guess some of the way that people feel about her is based off of that video.
Do you love Drew like me?
I honestly, every season when she's back again, I'm like, she's weaseled her way back. She's been on now for so many years.
It's a true testament to the power of Drew. She keeps coming back because there are people like me who get teary-eyed looking at Drew. Drew singing to Ralph at that reunion 2 or 3 years ago, I swear, is an underrated top 10 Bravo moment of all time. It blew me apart. I still think about it right now. I think it's because I had to reassess Drew over the years, because I also had the interpretation of like, she's kind of lame. She's trying to get, stir up conflict to make herself. But now she's been like, how many years has Drew been on? Like, she's an established, the cast has reshuffled so many times and Drew still remains. So that's a testament to her power.
Yeah.
And she talks a little bit about her and Shamia. She brings up why Shamia's husband couldn't make it, and Shamia is kind of like, an air traffic controller waved the wrong way on the tarmac, so a plane didn't go in the right direction. And you could tell that when Drew brought it up, she was implying something like, why is he not here? So they've got some friction going on.
Yeah, I was also a little taken back that Shamia called her husband while they were pre-gaming for the party and said, "What's your ETA?" And he goes, "I'm not even landing tonight." And I'm like, what? Like,
some not me, some not me, some not me. Will say that she didn't, that they both planned on her husband not joining, and it was just an easy way to say, he couldn't make it. I don't really know, why, but Drew and everyone wanted to make a point of, why is he not here?
Right. And then, we get into some nitty gritty about like alliances between, like Drew told Portia, I didn't like what Angela was talking about, and I don't actually want to align with her. And then it gets into details about that Angela said at a Hawks game that Phaedra and a friend came up to her and they were talking shit about, was it about fidelity of Charles, or what was it about? It was some drama, and they refute that, or she's refuted that, and Phaedra goes, I have the tapes. And then they go, do you have the tapes? And she goes, well, I don't have the tapes, but I've asked for the tapes to be reviewed. And I'm like, with who? Like, where?
No, it was good. It was a good way to say it. They've been reviewed. I didn't firsthand. I have no knowledge of what was on it, but they've been reviewed and told to me that didn't happen. So that's how Phaedra is getting out of this.
I was starting to get confused at the end because I don't remember the reunion very well from last season. I was like, what were they fighting about? I was like, what's going on between Drew and Angela and Phaedra? Like, I was like, I needed a better reminder. I think they showed the clip, but I was like, I am a little lost.
Yeah. The producers kind of let us follow K. Michelle. Like, they let us waft away with K. Michelle. When K. Michelle says, like, I don't care about any of this stuff. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to talk about reviewing footage. I'm going to go smoke cigars. Then Angela goes out, and then everyone realizes that they should go out at the same time. And even, I think Cynthia says, like, we've decided that we're going to just close this for now and not talk for another time. Like, they all decide that this is a little too much to talk about in that moment. And they're going to, I don't know, bring it up later in the season. And then everybody just gets to have fun again. Mike, Portia's friend, says, like, thank you all for coming. What a wonderful night. And they all kind of make fun of Mike. They're like, he shouldn't be able to give the speech of saying goodbye to everyone, like that he's acting like the man of the house or something. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I liked Mike. I don't know anything very much about him, but
I was confused when they brought him up as potentially someone she was dating, because as of current times, Portia, I believe, is married to a woman. So, which next week we meet Sway, and that storyline will begin, which I'm excited for because I love that. I also got a video on TikTok, I think I sent it to you, of a woman, like a butch lesbian woman, telling Candy, who ran into Candy, was like, Candy, now that you're single, you should do what Portia did and come over to our side. I'll show you a great time. And all the comments are like, but do you want to deal with Mama Joyce?
Wow. Oh
like, that's
God.
the real question.
Oh my God, that is so fun. Oh my God, I do miss Candy.
I know, Candy Coated Nights.
She took a pause or whatever on Bravo, and then immediately did all the work, to divorce from Todd off camera. You know what I mean?
It was a scheme that Todd cooked up.
Yeah, they missed a huge part of Candy's life by her dealing with the separation of Todd. But I think that this season of Atlanta has a great start. I thought it was fun, funny. Love K. Michelle. We'll get to
Phaedra back. Always a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. So fun. So great. I mean, I hope everybody watched Atlanta. I hope you're watching Rhode Island. Hope you're watching
Bear
Summer
with
House.
us as we figure out where to place these conversations. We might just not cover every week or just do little touch bases. It's just like physically not possible to cover every single show that's on right now. It's too many.
I mean, just take a look at us. I mean, really, like, you think you're listening to a podcast. Look at what the fuck Amy and I are doing. It's worse than you could ever imagine. So please, just
Rhode Island, Atlanta, Summer House, the Valley, Beverly Hills. And then is that everything for now?
Nope.
There's nothing around the pike except for In the City will be coming straight after Summer House.
I mean, Ladies of
And then we're not
London.
even doing Southern Hospitality.
And Ladies of London is on now, which people want us to talk about. So, it could, some people could do it, but I don't know who the fuck that would be. We cannot do it. Thank you for bearing with us as we go through these schedule shifts. We have to assume that people want to hear Summer House coverage the most. I know I personally do. Great. I mean, if I'm doing the Turtle Time report card at the end of the episode, I have nothing but to give it a B+ at the end of this thing. News, for sure, was definitely discussed for 30 minutes. 3 shows, 2 brushed upon, and then 1 a full damn recap.
Yep.
Fully. So there's nothing more that Turtle Time can really do other than that. I mean, that's it. That's the mission.
Yes.
So
thank you for listening.
Yeah. So can I say goodbye? Can we say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Can we promote our stuff?
Sure. As always, we have a Patreon where we recap old Vanderpump Rules from the very beginning. We have officially broached season 9. Kind of crazy. We're getting to the end here. So you can, if you subscribe for even 1 month, you get the backlog all the way to season 1 through 9. We are going to continue to the bitter end. And then if you do the next tier after that, you get a monthly movie recap. Most recently, the Sex and the City movie. You're not going to want to miss that one. It's over 2 hours.
It's amazing what you and I've been talking about Sex and the City. Can't you tell? I'm now in the mindset of knowing Sex and the City, the movie, because you sort of walked me through that shit. Wait till you see Riley's June Bloom, or what's next month? May. Wait till you see my May Madness. I'm going to go nuts when you see what the hell I've got in store for Villa Rosa Film Society. So you're gonna fucking flip. I keep thinking of that. You remember that guy who used to run around Washington D.C. with money signs all over his body, and he was grabbing cash from the air? Do you remember those commercials? Do you know who I'm talking about?
He had look that up.
He was this guy called I'm Mr. Money, and he would just run around being like, "I'm gonna get you money." That's what it's like being on Patreon, except it's content.
Yeah.
So, So just think about that Mr. Money guy, but then think about it in terms of buying content. And then lastly, no, you don't have to review us. Just, I don't know, comment. I don't know if you want. All right. Just take it easy. We love you all so much. And we'll see you later this week. We love you. Bye.
Bye.